Here's a quick peek of what we'll be doing today. Join me as we decorate the cover of our journal. Hi everybody, Elizabeth here from Petals and Parchment. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me today. Today we are on video number 4 for the Make a Journal with Me series using my kit Springtime Reverie, which you can find in the Petals and Parchment Papery, my membership on Ko-fi. So today I would like to show you how I want to create my cover. So the first thing that I want to show you before I start decorating my cover is how to make a flower that I'm going to use for my cover. So this is the flower that I made, and it's a cherry blossom to go along with the kit, and it's got many layers to it, and I think it turned out really beautifully. So I'm going to show you how I made this flower before we get started on decorating the cover. Okay, so what you're going to need to make the flower is some flower punches, which I have here, and if you don't have flower punches, then you can use some die cuts. If you have like a Sizzix Big Shot machine or another die cutting machine, you can select a flower die. I've also put in the freebie file for the YouTube community some paper flowers that are like an overlay that you can print onto any paper that you'd like. So you can find those in the Google Drive folder that I've mentioned in a previous video. Just look at the other videos to find that. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get some paper in different colors and textures to match your theme, and then you're just going to punch out some flowers. And I made this in another video series that I'm doing right now, the Reflective Rolodex, and I made it with mixed media paper and gouache, and then I sent it through my embossing machine. So it's really pretty pattern paper that I made myself, but when you've embossed the paper, you have to be really careful that when you're cutting it out, it doesn't rip. So it might take a few tries to get that to punch out correctly and not rip. So I'm just going to make a couple of each size. Also, we're poking a hole in the center of them, so it might rip at that point. You can always use washi tape or another kind of tape to reinforce the hole if it rips. That's what I did on my flower, but I'm just going to punch out a couple here also so that I have a variety to choose from. And then I'm just going to save this because I have really enjoyed using it. I might actually do one more here with some white just to see what looks best. Okay, so then I'm going to go on to a new texture of paper and a new size punch. Okay, and then again with this punch, I'm only going to do one of those because that was too thick for the punch, I think. Okay, and then I'm going to do one of these in this color and a few in this color. And you can just make it as many layers as you want. I think I did 3 or 4 of the large layer and then 1 of each of the smaller layers. Okay, and then you're going to need a brad, and you're going to need some ink, and I've got an awl or a pokey tool, and then you're going to need a script stamp and something to punch on if you want. So the first thing I'm going to do is take one of these lighter large ones and just stamp some script on it to create a layered effect and some interest. There we go. Okay, and then the next step is just to build the layers here. So this is going to be the top layer and this is going to be the bottom layer. So I'm just going to punch a hole in the center of each flower. Okay, so then starting with the smallest flower first, I'm going to just push it far up the awl so that the hole gets a little bit bigger. And then I'm just going to gradually graduate the size of the flowers, and I'm going to stagger them so that the petals are spread out in different directions. And I'm just taking care to try and not rip the paper. And then I'll just continue building my flower from here. Okay, and then I'm just gonna set this aside while I pick out a brad for the center of the flower. Okay, and then I'm just gonna gently pull these all off in one swoop and then push the brad through, and voila, we have a pretty flower. Now I'm just gonna set to work sort of fluffing the petals so that you can see all of the individual layers. And if you'd like, before you punch the hole and stick them all together, you can ink around the edges to even give them more definition. I did that with my prototype, and how pretty is that? So simple and really effective. Okay, so the next step here, we're going to begin building the cover. So before I show you my focal point, I want to go ahead and add some lace to the spine on my cover and allow that some time to dry while we work on assembling the focal point. So I've cut a few pieces of lace here, and I'm just going to adhere those with some glue. I'm using Fabri-Tac. You can use whatever glue you like. I'm just going to dab this a little bit and turn it over and do the same thing on this side. I'm using two different laces on each side to sort of create a unique look for each side of the journal, like it's two completely separate journals. Okay, and I'm just going to leave this to the side, standing up like this to dry. Okay, so these are the two focal points that I've chosen for each side of the journal. One is a little bit larger and thicker. That's going to be like the main cover, and then the flatter, smaller one is going to be the back cover. So this is just a cluster that I made following Sophie's tutorial that she made for Friday Makes video last week, and I've not got much experience making clusters, and I just really like the way this one turned out. So I used some gauze, and then I used some tattered like muslin type material, some corrugated cardboard, a little bit of drywall joint tape, and then 2 eggs and this faux waxed seal here. So that's gonna go on my back cover, and go watch Sophie's video if you want to learn how to make some really amazing clusters. And then this is gonna be my main focal point. So we just made the flower, and I'll sort of show you what I was thinking with this. So I'm starting with a piece of corrugated cardboard. You can always put a little light dusting of gesso or white paint on this if you'd like. I'm not going to do that because I've got quite a lot of white in my decoration here. So I've got some net from some beach toys, I think, that my daughter had, and you could also use net from like produce. I've got a little bit of pink avocado dyed gauze that I did a long time ago. I've got some tattered brown lace because the kit is brown and pink. Then I've got a little bit of white cheesecloth. Finally, a piece of pretty lace, white lace. And so I'm just going to stick all that down, and then I've got this bird fussy cut focal point that's going to go on the top there. Finally finish it off with my homemade flower. So I'm just going to get everything stuck down, and then make sure that I can see some of each layer peeking through. That's the goal here when I'm setting everything down. So if you want to write it down, I'll put the layers in the description box down below so that you can write it down and remember. It's corrugated cardboard, and then I've got you can put gesso on the cardboard if you'd like, and then I've got this white netting. You could also do like a cream colored fabric or a white fabric if you'd like, and I'm going to kind of set that at an angle so that we can see it through the layers. Like I said, I want to see all of the layers. piece. And then I've got some avocado dyed, I don't know if it's gauze or cheesecloth. I think it was cheesecloth now that I'm remembering. So I'm just gonna kind of set that off to the side there and then do another little bit on the opposite side down here at the bottom. And then I've got my beautiful tatty brown lace. Going to try to put the glue right on the lace and a little bit on here as well. The only problem with these stringy elements is that they like to stick to the glue bottle, but I think it's worth the trouble. Okay, so then I'm just gonna stick that down, and my tiny fragments of cheesecloth, the white one, is sticking to my fingers, so just gonna try to leave some of that on the cardboard. I really dislike getting glue on my fingers. I don't like getting gunk on my fingers at all. That's okay. And then I'm going to stick down a piece of white lace. And then I'm going to finally put my bird here kind of off center. And if you let your Fabri-Tac glue come all the way down into the tip before you squeeze it, you won't get that dreaded volcano. It's kind of hard to remember. So passing along the information we all want and need here. One of my YouTube subscribers passed that on to me. She said that Scrapbooking by Me said that, and she passed that info on to me, and I'm just so grateful to those ladies. Because I was losing a lot of glue. Okay, and then lastly, sticking down my flower, which is my main focal point here in the bottom corner. And this is what we have for our cover now. While I'm waiting for the glue to dry, I wanted to show you something that I came up with a few days ago that I was really excited to show you. So I made some master boards that I showed in a previous video, and I had cut out 2 tags, and I had this like leftover piece. And so I also happened across a vintage flashcard with the word flu on it. So what I did was I created this hidden journaling space behind the card, and then I also stamped on the card one of my favorite quotes: "What if I fall? Oh, but my darling, what if you fly?" And I thought that was really appropriate for this journal. So I decorated the cover of the master board with some of the snippet roll fussy cuts and the freebies from last week, a sentiment, and some cheesecloth and colorful string, and one of the fussy cuts from the kit. And so the way that I did this, I took this card here and I put the corners directly on the card, and then I flipped it over and I glued the bottoms of the corner pieces here to this card, to this master board, and then it was perfectly in place. And once these 4 corners dried, then I took out my flashcard. I glued a journaling, like a hand-dyed piece of paper. This is dyed using Easter egg dyes, so don't throw away your kids' Easter egg dye. You can use it to dye printer paper, and then you'll have a stash for like the whole year, and save any of the little color pellets too, so that if you run out, you can dye some more paper. But I threw the rest of my pellets away and I was kicking myself, so this Easter I'm going to stock up on the color pellets. They're wonderful for dyeing paper in these beautiful shades. And so anyways, I've had this paper, this pink one, since last year or the year before. I do a batch every year, so I just cut out a size that would fit and I glued it underneath these tabs here, and then I got to work decorating the card, the back of the card. And so now it's like a hidden journaling spot and an inspiring quote, and it's on the back of a master board that is decorated beautifully as well. So I was just really happy with this hidden journaling spot. I have to say, in all of junk journaldom, that hidden journaling spots are my favorite, but I always forget to include them, so I just wanted to show you that. Okay, and then now I'm just gonna go ahead and put my focal point on the front of my journal. I think I'll do the flat one first. This is what this side is going to look like. Again, allowing my glue to drop into the tip of the applicator before I start squeezing. It's kind of hard for me to remember. Then making sure that my closure ribbon is out of the way, and then just fluffing it and kind of pressing it down so that it adheres. I'm just gonna hold it for 10 or 20 seconds to give it a chance to adhere before I turn it over and begin on the other side. So that's one cover done, and now on to this side. And here's my completed journal cover for my Do-Si-Do journal. Still has to dry a little bit, but I'm very pleased with how it turned out. What do you think? In the final video of this series, I'll be doing a flip through of the completed journal. So for the last few days of this month, I'm going to get to work including all of the elements that we've created so far and putting them in the journal. Then I'll come back and show you a flip through, and we'll have a completed journal at the end. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the final flip through. And if you want to find these papers, you can go to my Ko-fi site and join the Petals and Parchment Papery. For only $5 a month, you get so many amazing pages to create with and lots of inspiration from my design team as well as myself working with the papers. So thank you again for joining me, and I hope to see you next time. Until then, have lots of crafty fun. Bye!